Hey guys, welcome back to Microgreens Farmer. I'm just gonna jump right into the video today. And I'm just gonna start off by walking you through Andy Mussaw's farm. This is Fresh Source Farms in Maryland. So I'm just gonna walk around the whole building, show you guys everything, show you all the components, and then Andy's gonna jump on the camera and explain like their workflow and how they set things up. So stick around for that second half here. Just gonna walk around here for about another minute. There's one other thing I want to mention while we're continuing on with this tour. So I've been teaching my Microgreens business online course since 2016 now. It's been taken by over 4,200 people from all over the world. And people typically pay $497 plus to get started. And I did a very special deal right now where you can get started for just 60 bucks. I have a limited number of spots. They're about 2/3 full already. So if you want to get signed up, click the link in the description, get signed up right away. You can get started with my course for 60 bucks. Be sure to check that out if you want to get started with microgreens. I teach you how to get started on a small scale. All the videos, all the documents, downloads, templates, everything you need to run the business for $60. It'll just save you hundreds and hundreds of dollars of your time trying to get all this stuff going on your own. So be sure to check that out. Yeah, why don't you tell us about how you like your philosophy or your considerations for setting up a grow room?
Yeah, so the big thing is just going to be thinking about your workflow, right? So when you're in your kitchen at your house and you have to move through the process of making some kind of a meal, you don't want to be walking long distances as best you can, having to go get supplies and go get the food and go put things in the sink and go put things in the fridge. Ideally it's all set up to where it just flows really well. So when we laid this space out, we kind of thought like, follow the tray essentially. What's the process of a tray going to go through? So the tray is going to start at the sink. It's going to get washed over here. Then basically once it's washed, they're going to be put on these drying racks. So it's starting here, going to there, then going to these racks where it actually will sit until we actually use them. And those racks are very close to where we actually do our planting on our harvest tables. So they're basically moving this through this process to here. And then once they're planted, they'll move right to this rack here, which is really nice and close to the table. And then from that point, they're going to get spread out, throughout the actual racks that we have. And then from there, when they're harvested, they'll come right back to here. And then we put them on these little rolling carts here right next to Nate. And then they get rolled outside right through there, through the garage door that's behind them. And they get put in the dumpster, basically dump out the soil. And then they come right back to the sink. So it's just this big circular rotation throughout the whole entire process. So it's not super ideal because obviously we have a large space, but if you have a small space in your house, just kind of think like, the best workflow that you can come up with where you're not going to be running into something, where you're not going to be running into other people potentially that are helping you. It's just the ideal scenario is you've got enough room to move around, but you're not having to walk a massive amount of space to get to everything that you need. Try and keep everything nice and tight as best you can. Even as far as our supplies go, that we use for actual harvesting, that whole rack has, all the spray bottles we use, all the, let me walk over there if you want. All the packaging, the weights, the soil presses. So we've got small packaging on both sides. So when somebody's coming from this side of the table versus this side of the table, it's really easy for them to get to everything. So again, it's just workflow. That's really what it boils down to. Just kind of find efficient ways to get, move through your farm.
And you can kind of pay attention as you're working. Man, is there some task I do where I feel like there's excessive movement or some inefficiency, and then where can I shift things a little bit to try to fix it, right?
Yeah.
Over time, you're probably seeing new ways to kind of cut down on a little bit.
I've already debated taking this whole setup and turning it like this, because the guys that are working on that side have to walk around everything to get to the trays. So I've already thought about even turning this whole thing like this. That way to make it a little bit easier. The downside is, when we go to water, we have two hoses. We usually drag one to both sides, so we'd have to go all the way around that run, which would be a little awkward. But so we're always thinking about different ways to try and improve stuff. And I always make sure that my team, as we're going through the process every week, is giving me feedback. I tell them, hey, if we can figure out something that's going to save us 5 minutes every single day, that adds up really fast on labor, because this is all about how fast you can do stuff, how efficient you can be. Really that's what microgreen farming is about, is efficiency, speed, and keeping your overhead down as much as you can, so that way you're maximizing your profits.